we care more, the landowners right along the Rio Grande in Albuquerque care more about what it's going to do to them personally. And I think you can do it in a way that has their input, especially if they are given the opportunity to present at a commission and talk about what this may mean to them specifically. That would be a real good thing, and I hope this commission really focuses on not only the public areas and bringing people in, but they do it in a way that is not intrusive and is not bringing in more trash, bringing in more activities and commerce that affect their individual lives. A lot of them are large landowners that have some level of agriculture that they participate in, and it's a real unique part of Albuquerque, the North Valley, in which I represent. And I think you can do it in a way that everybody's going to be happy, but I think we need to, be careful as we go through private property. And other than that, I think it's a really good effort, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I guess I'm just advisory, so I'll try and advise you the best I can.
Well, thank you. Actually, those are extremely valuable comments, and that sort of leads into the next item. We sent out a link to the Appalachian Trail. It's a video on the Appalachian Trail, I think a YouTube video. And the purpose of that was to try to convey the sort of trail that we're thinking about. It's not one that's intended to be intrusive. We're going to try to maintain the natural situation as much as possible, and that's something that we'll want to discuss here in the commission, and certainly welcome comments from all stakeholders, whether they're landowners or other people. So that is a very important thing that we will be addressing as we move forward. And did anyone have any comments, or did you have a chance to look at the video? Any feedback on that? None. Well, I hope you did enjoy it. It was quite long. We didn't want to show it here today, but we did want to give you the opportunity to look at it. See, I think in your handout there's also the governor's press release from yesterday, where she directed the State Parks Division to designate some 23 miles of parks throughout the state as potentially the first miles of this Rio Grande Trail. And those parks include Elephant Butte Lake, Cabello Lake, Leesburg Dam, Mesilla Valley Bosque, Percha Dam, and the Rio Grande Nature Center there in Albuquerque. So the governor is, as Representative Steinborn indicated, is extremely positive behind this initiative, recognizing that there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of coordination, communication, and outreach.
Comment from the commissioner.
I'm sorry, where? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Toby Martinez, I would be very interested in seeing some local, news releases. Most people don't know who's on the commission, and I think one of the key elements of this commission is to be able to receive comments from the public and get their ideas. I spent almost an hour on the phone yesterday. The Trust for Public Lands and the Taos Land Trust is having a meeting at the end of the day today, spearheading some ideas and trying to get ideas. A lot of their questions had to do with trails. Very, very interested, the community of Taos is. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's a good point. We will be reaching out more. I apologize for the short notice of this meeting. We'll do a much better job beforehand. We had some issues in getting everyone appointed. We wanted to get this thing kicked off in July, and as we will discuss later, I think we want to have a follow-on meeting before too long to try to really get this thing going and moving forward. So in the future, we'll have things coordinated much better, and we'll be getting information out much more across up and down the state as we move forward. But thank you for that. At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Christy Tafoya to give us a presentation from the State Parks Division looking at the map and existing parks trails that could be part of this Rio Grande Trail. Christy.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll move up here. Okay. All right. That's a good way to start this. Well, good morning, folks. Very happy to be here to talk a little bit about. I'm very happy to be on this commission with some really great esteemed colleagues. And very happy to be here today to talk about the Rio Grande Trail. I've been with New Mexico State Parks for 17 years, and so I have been involved in some of the earlier planning with the Rio Grande Trail. And so what I'd like to provide for you this morning is a little bit of information about the background with the Rio Grande Trail with regard to our department, the Energy, Minerals, Natural Resources Department, and to talk about the proposed trail alignments within state parks to give you a sense of where they are, what they look like, and what they consist of. So, what I have on the screen for you is a little bit of background about the Rio Grande Trail. This has been a concept that's been around for quite a long time, but it was in the early 2000s that this actually came to pass in a more formal way. And there are three things about that timeline between 2004 and 2009 that I would like to point out to you. Let's see here. Essentially, the first big thing that happened was that the Rio Grande Trail Coordinating Committee was created in 2007. And I think that was very important because it was a precursor to this commission. And it pulled together a large number of stakeholders to look at the Rio Grande Trail and start formalizing ideas about this. The second big piece on this timeline is that the Rio Grande Trail Coordinating Committee created a charter. So we do have a draft charter for the Rio Grande Trail that provides some really good information about different types of user groups, trail alignments, provides some guidance, provides some mission and vision. So I'd be happy to send that to all of you to take a look at, and so that we can see if there are pieces that we can pull from that charter. The third piece I want to say about this timeline is that you'll see sprinkled throughout it between 2004 and 2009, there were a lot of geographically oriented stakeholder meetings. And so that's the way that the coordinating committee was really looking at this. We did hire a full-time person in state parks, Dr. David Sturton, who's here. He actually was the full-time person working on this during this period. We also hired a contractor to help us with planning. And so the planning, the way that it took place, there was a really significant push on planning on the lower Rio Grande. And so in 2008, we created a plan that looked at the trail alignments between Belen and Sunland Park, and looked at who all the property owners were and the trail alignments. So we have that plan. You know, I think things have probably changed in the interim to some degree, but that's another really important piece that we can look at. The other piece that was important was that there was quite a bit of discussion with the Mid-Region Council of Governments to develop a Rio Grande Trail plan from Bernalillo to Belen. And so there was quite a bit of discussion happening with the city of Albuquerque and the Mid-Rio Grande. And so that was an important piece as well. And the other thing that I will say is that we worked very well with the Bureau of Land Management. And the BLM in 2009 was really excited about designating some of their trail alignments between the Colorado border and Pilar, what is now the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument. Large segments of that trail were going to be designated. They were even talking about putting signs out there. So, you know, this all took place, and so the nice thing, commissioners, is that, and Mr. Chairman, is that we do have quite a bit of background information that we can draw from. And we have a lot of stakeholders that are here in this room that are still around that remember all of that work that we put into this. And these are some of the stakeholders. These are actually the stakeholders that Representative Steinborn put within his bill. And it also represents a number of our stakeholders that we were talking to at the time. So, you know, we had, and I will tell you this about the stakeholder meetings, we really worked more on a geographical basis. Stakeholder meetings were held per county or per community. So that was truly the focus, and that's something that I'd like to revisit with you folks today as well, because if we're going to be talking about committees, I think we've got a good geographical spread and a geographical approach, but we might want to be thinking about committees in terms of topic areas, you know, user groups, concerns about property ownership, liability, law enforcement, and those kinds of things. So I think those are the things that we need to be looking at. Okay, so these, oops, let me go back. These are the 6 parks along the Rio Grande corridor. You can see the Rio Grande Nature Center State Park, Elephant Butte Lake, Caballo Lake, Percha Dam, Leesburg Dam, and Mesilla Valley Bosque State Park. Each one of these parks has existing trails established within, and the governor felt that these would be a really good set of trails to show a good faith effort that we're very serious about this Rio Grande Trail concept. And as an agency, we are very committed as well. So the Rio Grande Nature Center State Park, located in Albuquerque at the end of Candelaria. You can see here, this is located on the Central Flyway. Let's see if I can get this to work. Here we go. Here is the boundary of the park, and this is the trail alignment within the park. Here's the Rio Grande, and here's the city of Albuquerque's big long trail segment through here. So you can see that it does connect up to existing trail. And I will say at this point, these trails are not interconnected. In some cases, we do have the opportunity to interconnect between parks. But I think that, you know, interconnectivity, particularly based on the planning that we did in 2008, I think that there's some really great opportunities for this interconnectivity. This park is really important because it serves over 200,000 people a year. And provides great education and outreach programming, and has wonderful gardens throughout. People can learn about the native vegetation within New Mexico, can do wonderful bird watching, and we teach a lot of children at this park. And so the great thing is we get kids out on our trails, and it's a really amazing experience for these guys. And aquatic education, and all these trails are utilized as part of our educational programming. The next park I'll talk about is Elephant Butte Lake State Park, our largest park in the system. You know, we think about Elephant Butte Lake State Park as a place to recreate, for water recreation, for boating, and for fishing and camping, but we do have a really great trail system there. We have about 11.6 miles of trail within the system. This to the here north is the West Lakeshore Trail. We just more recently put that whole alignment in using Recreational Trails Program funding, so it is a very well-maintained, great trail. I'll show you a few more pickups. Lucchini Trail is right in here. That is a nature trail that we have our interpretive rangers go out and provide interpretive programming for our visitors there. And then you can see this trail right here. That is the dam trail, which goes from the Dirt Dam Recreation Area to the Elephant Butte Dam. So these alignments are very well established and very well used, and a great component to recreation at Elephant Butte Lake State Park. And you can see here's some of the amenities that we have there. We have our trailhead sign, and we have our shelter.